So what lies behind the shiny skyscrapers of modern China? One of my most favorite things to do, as you may have seen in some of my videos, is to go what I call village crawling. What this means is, inside the big cities of China, you will always find the old urban villages. These are normally little concrete villages that have been there since before the major parts of the cities and the fancy parts have sprung up. And because people have been historically living there, the government can't relocate them. I mean, they do eventually, but it takes a long time. So these little villages more or less stay the way they were, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Remember, China is still a very new country. Most of the very old architecture was kind of destroyed or very badly neglected during the Great Leap Backwards and the cultural devolution. The thing is, you can still see a lot of this everyday life and culture, which I really like. I prefer it to the big sort of shiny skyscrapers because, to be honest, they're actually very hollow. When you look at it, it's just a facade. You look inside, there's nothing really to see there. It's just either actually empty or normal offices, nothing special. There's nothing out of the ordinary that you wouldn't see in any other country if you go into a big skyscraper. You go into these little villages, however, and life is just completely different. It's a lot of fun, it's vibrant, they stay open all night, they're sort of lively, people walking around the whole night. It doesn't shut down, it doesn't stop at 1 or 2 a.m. It literally just continues all the way until daybreak. It's a lot of fun. I've had some of my best moments in these urban villages. It's super nice to go and explore them. For those of you who are lucky enough to travel to China, or if you can't travel to China and you're only able to look at my videos and things like that, how about we talk about peeling back that layer of glossy, shiny skyscrapers? Let's take a look behind all of that and let's see what China really looks like. All of the footage I use in my videos, I shot myself, all of the B-roll, all of the drone footage, everything. It's what I have a passion for. I absolutely love going out in China and just filming it so that you guys can see for yourself exactly what China is all about. You see, I could sit in a room and tell you my opinion and all that kind of thing, but I think it's always better for you to make up your own mind. So let's start off with a little montage, and then I'm going to explain to you what you see. Now, although I've extensively traveled and explored China, in fact, I've got 3 television documentaries all about doing that, not only the big cities, but especially in my favorite part, the rural parts of China. I have spent most of my time in China in one big city, and that city is Shenzhen. And there is no better city to use as an example of this facade in China. And what you see when you arrive is just amazing. It is definitely one of the best looking, most technically advanced looking cities you'll find in the world. Beautiful skyscrapers, good infrastructure, good parks, everything is set up very well. But you walk away from the main areas, just walk a little bit into the back alleys and things like that, you start to see what I like to call the real China. This is how most people actually live in these big cities, especially Shenzhen with this big migrant population. You'll see people buying their fresh vegetables, buying their fresh meat, kind of just ambling around. And then as the sun goes down, you see people returning from work, you see people engaging in nightlife activities, again, eating, walking around with their family, and doing all sorts of interesting things. This is my absolute favorite time of day for people watching. I just love hanging out in these small villages at night because you get to see all sorts of interesting things that you just won't see back home if you're a Westerner. It's a lot of fun. I've had some of my best moments in these urban villages. It's super nice to go and explore them. Thing is, most people when they think of China, right, I did too, is you think about, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, even though he's not Chinese, he's kind of Chinese American.
Well, let me say this. When I do the Chinese film, I'll try my best not to be as American as I, have been adjusted to for the last 12 years in the States. But when I go back to the States, it seems to be the other way around. You know what I mean?
Too exotic, eh?
Yeah, man. I mean, they're trying to get me to do too many things that are really for the sake of being exotic. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Oh, sure.
So it's really, I mean, it's
when you live in both worlds, it brings its problems as well as its advantages, and you've got both.
You think about temples and monks and dragons and all this sort of glorious stuff that you've seen, on TV and in movies. They don't exist in China. If you go to China looking for that, you're barking up the wrong tree. Shaolin Temple, it's just a business. You can go there, you can see, but it's just a big show put on for foreigners and, for silly foreigners who want to pay money to go learn with the Shaolin monks and things like that. I'm not saying that it's not a worthy pursuit, it's very blatantly a business and very fake. Now, it may sound as if I'm being overly negative, but I'm actually not. This is what I love about China, is the in-betweens. Not the fancy facade of the skyscrapers and stuff, which is just there to try and really impress the rest of the world and to make China feel better that finally they're catching up and overtaking and it's their time. And it's not the dirt, poverty, poor stuff that you see, which I have seen a lot of in China. People that are walking around barefoot, children that have to eat rats. I've seen this with my own eyes. I've traveled so vastly around the country. But it's the in-betweener, the sort of everyman thing that you see in China that I really appreciate. This is my China. But why is it that opinions are so vastly differing when it comes to what China really is and what China is really about? Well, you have to formulate an opinion by living the experience. Otherwise, your words mean nothing and are just pure conjecture. China is what you want it to be. And the reason for this is there's this massive language barrier. On top of that, you've got this culture and society of us versus them. It's very opaque, it's been closed off for so many years, and this is kind of a unique situation. It leaves a blank canvas open for anyone who walks into China. You can see something and you can think, oh, this is XYZ. That's an opinion you can formulate. The next person who walks in will see something completely different. Where someone sees an ancient temple full of history, I will see a facade, something that's been built for tourism purposes that's badly painted. What some people see as poverty and want knocked down, I see as a rich, thriving society that should be preserved and celebrated. You see, it's all down to you at the end of the day. So go out there and explore for yourself, form your own opinions. And I'm not just talking about China here, I'm talking about wherever you are, in your neck of the woods. Just get out there, explore. It's absolutely the best thing I've ever done. It's something I would recommend to absolutely everyone. And while we're on the subject, I would invite you to go and watch my documentaries. In fact, if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch Conquering Southern China for free. Actually, still my favorite of the 3 documentaries I've made, probably because it was the first and it was such an incredible experience, sort of testing the waters and figuring things out. But it always brings a smile to my face. So yes, you can go watch it for free, or I think it's on iTunes. And if you do feel like actually making sure we earn a little bit of money, you can go and buy it or rent it on Vimeo. That's the only way we ever make a cent. Anyway, links are all in the description. So one of the stereotypes I've always tried to break through my YouTube videos is that China is actually an incredibly friendly and hospitable place.
欢迎你们到我们园园来。
非常感谢。
5个很美丽的美女。
谢谢。外面去看一下吧。
好。哇，感谢你。
他们一次出游，刚好我们也是出游，我们在路上一起就碰见在一起了。
不要钱了，
要，没有。
Even in this poor place,
She refused to take my money. She ran and like stuffed it in my little strap here.
一块叫洋岩石，还有一块银岩石。
Oh,
对，都有。
What he said is like, you drink about 3 of those, you're gonna find a beautiful girl, and you're gonna last at least half an hour.
Being here so long and being able to speak the language and actually talk to the local people and experience all these different local cultures was something really special.
Remember, you can catch another SerpentZA every single Friday right here. Lao 86 every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, most importantly, ADVChina every single Monday. Go watch it. If you don't know ADVChina, you're missing out. Go check it out. We also have a podcast every second Thursday. Anyway, guys, see you next time. And until then, you know the drill. As always, stay awesome.